Welcome. Nowadays, when we think of zombie games, we inevitably think of things like The Last of Us. Brilliant games, fantastic, but a bit gloomy and very serious. Well, Dead Island 2 is absolutely nothing like that. It's amazing we got this sequel actually. It's over 11 years since the original, and it's absolutely brilliant. This time we're in the island of Los Angeles. So, not quite an island, but hey, not going to hold that against it. And yes, there are some dark and dingy areas as we go through various different buildings, scavenging around and fulfilling our quests. But there's also the bright lights, the bright streets. The open world isn't enormous. It's definitely a lot smaller than many games. However, what they lack in quantity, they have delivered hugely on quality. It looks amazing. All the little touches around that you notice that make it all individual. The handy little potential environmental traps out there to bring the zombies through and fry them with things like electricity. That never gets old. Look at him twitching. They've done it absolutely awesomely, and each area has its own different ways and, dare I say, personality. For example, the beach is humongous and zombies are quite well spread out. Go to the pier, however, and they're densely packed in. They've kept the quality high throughout, and that's no small achievement. Now, on this channel I often talk about the importance of a good story to keep you engaged in a game, because it is something that's very important to me. The story here does mainly just serve to progress you to the next level of blood, guts, slashing and shooting. But that doesn't mean it's bad. Simplistic and, dare I say, a little bit shallow isn't always a bad thing in a story if it's done well. And what they've done here is keep it very tongue-in-cheek. Something I actually found really refreshing among all the serious games that seem to be being brought to market. You get to choose your character. Can't remember exactly how many. I think there's 6, but maybe more. Let me know in the comments if you know. They've got slightly different stats which will affect the play style. So you choose the one which plays to your strengths and the way you think you want to play the game. Doesn't affect the story or the ending or anything like that as far as I know. And once you've chosen your character, you're off. You find yourself in LA. There's all these zombies kicking off. And you get bitten. Uh-oh. But wait, just as you're sitting there waiting for that death knell to toll, you find that you do not turn. You're immune to the zombie bites. Because yes, we all know if you're going to get turned into a zombie, that's how it's done, they bite you. Don't mess with tradition. Now that doesn't mean you can't get killed, of course, but it is handy to know you're at least not going to turn into one of the walking undead. As you play throughout, you'll meet various characters, and they tend to find themselves rooted in the safe zones. So every area you go to has a safe zone. It's where your fast travel points are, and it's where most of the characters congregate because, well, if it's the safe area, that just makes common sense. And they're a real laugh. You've got the aging Lothario with stories about how he wooed past beauties of the silver screen, the famous actress who thinks she's too famous to be eaten by a zombie and doesn't understand why they don't know who she is, and much, much more. They're a hoot. The majority of the characters are really quite funny. And the more serious ones, well, they serve a purpose as well. You will get to like a lot of these characters. Do not skip the side missions. In most open world games, a lot of the joy can come from the side missions, and that is something you definitely want to do here. There's story aspects to it because it inevitably involves saving a character or learning about people who are now zombified because you want to get something they've got. It all adds out, flushes out the world, makes it a real treat to be in. And with all that said, let's go to the most fun part, the combat. It's more of a hack and slash than a first-person shooter. You do unlock guns later on in the game. Now, there's survival horror elements, but I wouldn't call it a true survival horror because supplies are probably a little bit too plentiful for that. And again, it's not really got that dark tone. But as you progress, you unlock more things. You can modify your weapons, giving you a nice decent variety actually. We're not talking Borderlands level of variety, but higher than in most games. When you find something as you're going along, like you see there's a hammer here, I think that's originally a meat tenderizer, you can mod it so it just has more power when it impacts. Later on you can also add fire mods and electricity mods, and even some sort of dissolving gas, which I forget the name of. But it makes it interesting, it lets you play your way. And these mods do come into their own as you play through, because different zombies you'll find as you go through will have different immunities. So you're going to see shortly a fireman zombie, and because of his protective clothing, weapons modded with fire do very minimal damage. It doesn't add anything to it, making them ineffective. You're far better off using something that's just got more punching power, or bullets to the head, they work generally. It all adds to it, makes it a lot more fun. And I know I've already said this, but don't forget the environmental things you can do. Finding a gas canister and setting it on fire to see the zombies burn, or a puddle of water that you can electrify, it really doesn't get old. It is so much fun, and again keeps this combat, which is already a right laugh, interesting and engaging, because you will find yourself wanting to find different ways to kill the zombies just for your own amusement. All in all, this is a game which delivers exactly what it says on the tin. A great, fun time charging around LA, be it in abandoned hotels, searching dark and dingy basements, or the fairground on the pier. During the marketing, the main thing they seemed to focus on was how the blood mechanics were the best they could possibly get them to be, watching those brains fly. So that tells you all you need to know about the focus here. It was purely on fun. I enjoyed every aspect of this game, from the open world exploration to the linear bits with the jump scares. So get out there, bust some zombie heads, make your own weapons, play your own way, and see if you can discover what started the whole zombie apocalypse thing, why you're immune, and how you're connected. But of course, before you do that, don't forget to press like and subscribe, helps me out a ton. Until next time, ta-da for now.